Right. Good morning, everyone. All the online students, is it the screen is visible? All the online students, could you please everyone respond in the chat window? I request all the online students need to respond in the chat window. Okay, right. Perfect, guys. Let's get started then. So the one we have been discussing about these particular aspect of TypeScript concepts here. As part of this particular aspect of TypeScript, okay. So as part of this particular aspect of TypeScript, first we got understand that we'll be taking with a basic program. That is what we will be mentioning the printing with the statement here. Okay, right. Right. So which we will be taking with in printing with the statement. And after that, we got understand that we will be taking with this particular aspect of variable keywords. And then we will be mentioning that we got understand that which we will be taking with class, and then we will be taking with method, and we will be taking with object. And then we got understand that data types and variables. In the same way, we will be taking with this particular aspect of static methods. We will be taking with static methods. And then we got discussing about this particular aspect of constructor. Okay. And then we got this particular access modifiers. After that, we have been done with these particular conditions, and then we will be taking with loop concept. And continued on this, we need to be get done with the concept of keywords here. Okay. So now we need to be get go with this particular new concept. That is what we need to be get understand that we will be taking with arrays. So let's understand that what exactly mean by these particular arrays concept, and how exactly this particular arrays concept has been came into the picture. See that. First we'll understand that how exactly this particular aspect of arrays has been came into the picture. Let's look into that. Previously, we are already done with the concept of data types and variables. We have been already done with the concept of data types and variables. Okay. So according to the concept of data types and variables, first you need to go with using with the variable keyword. Then we can mention variable name, and then it will be providing data type equal to, you need to be get provide that particular variable value. So this is what the regular syntax has been followed in defining that particular aspect of data types and variables. Now assume that my requirement is I want to define one more value. Then I will be taking with subject 2. And then we'll go with that particular respective of 60. And then I need to go with that particular subject 3, which it will be taking with that particular respective of 70. So this is how we need to be get go with in utilizing this particular concept of data types and variables. Assume that I want to define a 10 values. If I want to define with the 10 values, I will be taking with 10 variables and then it will be assigning that particular respective data. Now the concept is while working these particular data types and variables, while working this particular concept of data types and variables, we can go with in representing with the data. This is, we mentioned that to represent, or we can say that define. To represent, or I will be taking with defining with the data. So for the purpose of representing or defining with the data, it will be taking with the help of data types and variables. This concept is perfectly okay. Now, see the understanding. The same thing, let me apply here. As an example, let's see here. 77. Now, as part of this particular one. So here, in this particular program, if I just go with one variable, I'm just defining, taking with the let subject 1, taking with that particular number equal to 90. Now, what I'm trying to do is I'm assigning one more value as a 80. Now, if I just added one more value, which it is giving an error, because according to the programming concept, as part of that particular programming concept, in one variable, in one particular variable, we can store only one value at a time. It can be Java, it can be TypeScript or Python, whatever it can be. The whole programming concept is in one variable at a time we can store only one value. In case if we want to be get store one more value, again I need to define one more particular variable. That means if I want to define 10 values, if I want to be get define that particular 10 values, we need to go with that particular 10 variables. If I want to define that particular 10 values, I need to go with in writing that particular 10 variables, and then we need to write 10 lines of statement. So 5 variables, 10 variables, little bit okay. But assume that as part of your requirement, you got some 100 variables or 100 values. If you want to define that 100 variables or 100 values, you need to write 100 lines of statement. That means just to perform a very simple activity, we are writing more number of lines of code. It's not like any logic we are doing. Just we need to be get go with in performing representing with the data. just for the purpose of representing with the data, we are writing more number of lines of code. So to avoid these particular things. So to avoid these particular things, rather than writing 10 lines of statement, the same thing we can just implement it in one particular line. That is what it will be taking with arrays concept. So this is how the concept of arrays has been introduced in this particular programming. So as simple, we are working with that particular data types and variables. While working data types and variables, less number of data, perfectly okay. Less number of data, perfectly okay. But in case of you want to work with more number of data, then it will be taking with, you need to be get right huge number of lines of code, and we need to be get go with in using that many variables here. Because of that, to avoid that, it will be taking with the concept of these particular arrays. With the help of arrays concept, with the help of these particular arrays concept, what we are performing in the 10 lines of statement, what we are performing in the 10 lines of statement, the same thing we are able, the same thing we are able to perform in one single line. That is what I will mention, group of similar data, or we can mention the similar values. So we can mention that group of similar data, or we can mention that group of similar values here. So this is what I will be taking with this particular respective arrays concept. Now let's see how we can write it. So now, see here. See here. So as part of these particular respective of arrays concept, we can mention the group of similar data, or we can consider that group of similar values here. Okay. Now, see the concept here. We are just taking with this particular array, and then we need to represent it is an array. To represent it is an array, it will be taking with that particular respective square brackets, and then it will be providing all that particular respective of array values here. That means previously what we have been done in these particular 10 lines of statement. So what we have been done in these particular 10 lines of statement, the same thing we got implemented in only one particular line. Both are same. This is representing with the data, and this is also representing with the data. We can say that both are representing with the data. Now, here we got in a 10 lines of statement, but the same thing we got implemented in just one particular line. So that is how we got in a concept of these particular perspective of arrays. Okay. Now I want to be get print in a value. From these particular respective array, we need to be get print that particular value. So here, while working individual variable, concept is very straightforward. You will be taking with console.log and then you will mention that particular variable name. So very straight away, it will be printing that particular value. In the same way, so here I can go with console.log. I will be taking with subject to, it will be printing that particular value. In a similar way, while working arrays concept. In the same way, while working arrays concept, if I'm taking with console.log, if I mention that particular array, it may print all the values here. But as part of the requirement, we need to be get print individual value. So how exactly it can go with in printing that particular individual value? So how we can go with in printing that particular individual value is while working these particular arrays, particularly if you are working with the arrays concept, you will be taking with the help of index here. So while working that particular arrays concept, you will be taking with the help of that particular index. If I'm taking with the index, always index will start from 0. So always index will start from 0. That means this particular one 0. This is considered as a 1. This is considered as a 2. And consider 10 values. This is considering that 9. That means whenever we are doing that particular programming, so whenever we have been doing that particular respective programming, we doesn't require to write any extra code related to the index. We doesn't require to write any code related to that particular index here. Okay. Now, by default, once we have been defined that particular array, once we got defined that particular array, automatically in a backend, the program itself, it will be assigning that particular index. Now assume that I want to just print this particular subject of 2. If I mention this particular subject of 2, it will be printing that particular result is 2. In the same way, it will be taking with this particular console.log, it will be mentioning the subject of 0. If I mention that particular subject of 0, that it will be taking with printing with the value is 99. Now, how many values you want to be get printed? You need to write that many statement. You will be taking with console.log. You will be taking with that particular subject of, you will be taking with this particular 9. If I mention 9, it will be printing that particular respective output. it will be taking with this particular 80. So in this way, how many values you want to be get printed, you are writing that many printf statement. Understand the concept here. If I just go with, right, so understand this particular concept. So if I just go with this particular array, while working this particular array, the main objective of arrays has been introduced. The main objective of arrays has been introduced. You need to get reduce number of lines of code. But here, while working that particular arrays concept also, again, we are writing that particular more number of lines of code. That means rather than writing that particular more number of printf statement, we need to write only one particular printf statement. We need to write only one particular printf statement, and then we need to able to print all the values from that particular array. We need to write only one particular printf statement and need to be get print all the values from that particular array. That is what I will be taking with the loop concept. We can go with while loop and then do while and then for loop. While working this particular for loop, while working with the for loop, as an example, as part of the syntax, we mentioned that let I equal to 10 and then I less than or equal to 15, I plus plus. And then it will be printing that particular respective I value. It will be taking with that particular I. See the concept here. This is, we mentioned that initialization, and this is, it will be taking with condition and then increment or decrement. It will go with initialization and then condition and taking with increment or decrement. Okay. Now, according to this particular syntax, if I'm considering this particular program, if I'm executing this loop, what will be the first value? If I'm executing this particular for loop, what is the first value we can expect? First value will be 10. It will start from 10 and continued up to 15. It will start from 10 and it will continue up to 15. That means this particular value of 10, we can consider that it will be taking with start value. That initialization, whatever that particular initialization is there, indirectly we can consider that it is a start value, which it will be considering that starting point. In the same way, it will be taking with this particular condition. This condition, we can consider that it will be taking with end value. Because if I'm executing this program, it will start from 10 and continued up to 15. So it will be getting started from 10 and then continued up to that particular 15. Okay. Now, see the concept here. If I just go with this particular one, whenever you are working with the for loop, two things we can say that. One is all the things in one statement. So as part of for loop, we are considering all the things in one statement. And user has to aware of start and end value. So whenever you are working with the for loop, if I want to use that particular for loop, as a user, I need to aware of what will be the starting point and what will be ending point. In case if you are not aware of what will be the starting point and what will be ending point. If I am not aware of what will be the starting point and then what will be the ending point, we cannot go with this particular for loop. That means that is what we used to be mentioned. Every concept, first we have to very clear about what exactly use of that particular concept and what exactly the syntax of that particular concept. If I'm taking with that particular use of the concept, if I just go with this particular use of the concept is, first thing we can mention that it will be taking with user is aware of what is the start value, what is the end value, then it will be taking with the help of for loop. Otherwise, in case if user is not aware of what is the starting point and what will be ending point. If user is not aware of what will be the starting point and what will be ending point, then it will be taking with the help of for off loop. That is nothing but for each. In case of Java, other languages, we need to be mentioned that for each loop. But while working with the TypeScript, we can mention that for off loop. If I'm taking with this particular for off loop, we can mention user is not aware of. User is not aware of start value and end value. So user is not aware of start value and end value. It will be taking with that particular perspective of for loop. Then how it will understand? As we are not mentioning any start value and we are not mentioning any end value. So without taking with the start value and then end value, so how you will be understanding how the loop need to work is, which I will be mentioning that it will work. We can say that loop works based on data, or you can consider that values. So whatever that particular data or whatever the values have been provided, based on that particular data and based on that particular values, that particular for off loop will be working. So how exactly that particular for off loop is working? Let's see that. If I go with that particular perspective of syntax, if I go with that particular perspective of the syntax, how exactly this loop is working? Let's see here. For that, it will be taking with for. Okay. First, it will be taking with for. Then it will be taking with let. It will be taking one variable and then of it will be taking with array name, and then it will be printing which it will be printing that particular one. It will be printing that particular A. See the concept here. It will be taking with this particular one. This A is considered as a temp variable. We can say that temporary variable. Not like A, I can mention B, whatever it can be. We can go with in providing any of the name here. In simple, we can say that it will be taking with that particular let A. We can consider that particular temp variable. Now we got array. So how exactly these particular for of loop will be working? What are the steps it will do is first it will refer the array. From the array, it will take with the first value. That value will be assigning to A. And then it will be printing that value A. Once A value is printed in the output, that value will be deleted, and then it will be taking with one more value from this particular array. It will take second value, again assigned to the variable, and then it will be printing that particular respective data. So this is how in that particular array, how many values are there, automatically it will be continued the loop for that many times here. So how many values are available, that many times it will be continued that particular loop concept. That is what it will be taking with that particular respective of for loop here. So this is how it will be taking it. You need to be get mentioning that it will be taking with this particular respective of for off loop. One, it will be taking with for loop. Another one, it will be taking with this particular respective of for off loop here. This is what it will be taking with these particular respective steps here. So in this way, we can go with in utilizing this particular respective concept here. The conclusion is while working this loop concept, we got in a while loop to work with condition. We got in a do while to work with printing the statement. We got in a for loop to work with all the things in one statement, and user is aware of what will be the start value and what will be end value. Then it will be taking with that particular for off loop, these particular respective of for off loop, we can say that user is not aware of what is the start value and end value here. So while working this particular for off loop, in that particular array, how many values are there? That many times it will be continued with the loop here. So this is how it will be working with this particular concept of arrays, and then it will be taking with for off loop here. So based on that particular program requirement, we need to be get take with the help of in utilizing those particular respective options here. Now let's see that how we can write with the program with the combination of it will be taking with arrays, and then it will be taking with that particular for off loop. Let's see that. Let's look into that. As usual, it will be taking with that particular new file. So which it will be taking with that particular new file, mentioning that it will be taking with the file name, saying that which it will be taking with example underscore it will be taking with this particular step, mentioning that arrays dot, it will be taking with TS. Okay. Then we need to be get right with the program. First, it will be defining one particular array, which it will be taking with that particular subject, and then mentioning that it will be taking with the number, it will be providing that particular respective array values. First, we are trying to get print individual value. If you want to be get print any individual value, it will be taking with the help of that particular respective of index here. So index will start from 0, so that you can mention 0 or 1. Whatever the index you provided, it will be accessing that particular value. Then it will be taking with and printing all the values. Need to be get print all the values by using that particular for off loop. With the help of that particular for off loop, you need to be get print all the values. You can see here. First, I will be taking with for, and then let, and then a. This a you can consider as a temp variable. That a can be considered as a temp variable. From the array, it will be taking with the first value. From the array, it will be taking with that particular respective of first value, and then it will be printing that particular respective value. So once value is printed, it will be deleted, then it will be taking with one more value, again assigned to the variable, and it will be printing it. That means in that particular array, how many values are there, that many times it will be taking with in printing all that particular values. So first we are printing one individual value. Then we will be taking with in printing with all the values. In a similar way, related to these particular arrays, we can take with the help of in utilizing that predefined methods. Array dot, it will be having different type of predefined methods will be available. Based on that particular requirement, we can go with in utilizing these particular respective predefined methods. So for now, we are retrieving length of that particular array. So what exactly the length has been there, we need to be get retrieve that particular length of array. This is how we got done with the program. First, we got that particular array assigned with the value, printing individual value, and then taking with that particular printing all the values with the help of that particular arrays concept. Then it will be taking with in printing length of that particular array. Now let's see here how exactly this program will be working, which we will be taking with that particular syntax mentioned the TSX, TypeScript executor. So TypeScript executor, it will provide with the file name example underscore, it will be taking with arrays dot ts. So which it's need to be able to print all that particular values. So first it is printing that particular individual value. After that it is printing all the values from array, and then it will be taking with array length here. Now here the loop has been working based on the data, based on array values. For example, if I got added two more values, then you can see here. I'm not changing the loop concept. Here, how many values are there, automatically that many times it will be continued that particular loop concept, which it will be printing that particular respective values. So in this way, it will be taking with the help of invoking these particular respective of loop concept, and which it will be taking with this particular one of it will be taking with arrays concept here. I mean, as part of that particular programming, we need to be get comfortable in understanding, utilizing all that particular respective required concepts here. So this is how we can go with in utilizing these particular respective arrays. And while working this particular arrays concept, we got in a concept of single dimensional array, multi-dimensional array. Lot of things has been available, but as a tester, just need to be get aware of this particular arrays concept, how exactly it will be working. Continued of this particular arrays concept, continued of these particular arrays. See that. So we got all these particular concept, and then we got an arrays. In the same way, we need to be get understand one more concept. That is what? Switch. While working this particular programming, we need to be get understand this particular perspective of switch concept. So what exactly use of this switch concept, and what will be the purpose of this particular switch concept? As simple, we can say that to perform multiple actions, or we can say that multiple scenarios in one program. To perform multiple actions or multiple scenarios in one program. Otherwise, if we got any confusion, we can mention that multiple functionality. If you want to be get perform multiple action and then multiple functionality in one program, it will be taking with that particular switch statement. So how exactly this particular switch statement will be working? So how exactly this particular respective of switch statement will be working? So if I just go with these particular switch statement, we can mention that to perform multiple actions or functionalities in one program. See that. So here, if I just go with this particular one, as simple, if I just go with the syntax, it will be taking with switch, taking with choice. First, we need to pass one variable as a choice for the switch statement. Now, in this particular switch statement, inside of that, we can write in a case statement. We can consider one case statement. Okay, we can consider one case statement is equal to one functionality. So one case statement is equal to one functionality. For example, here I'll be taking with A plus B. If user given with the choice is 1, then it will go with in executing that particular case 1. Once it is executed, it's need to take exit from the switch statement. That is what it will be adding break. If user has been given the choice is 2, then it's need to be get go with in doing that particular minus, which I will be taking with A minus B. Then in this is how you can write n number of case statement. There is no limit at all. So while working with the switch statement, we can go with n number of case statement. There is no limit at all. Okay. In case of any of the case statement is not matching, any of the case statement is not matching, then we need to be get go with in executing default statement. So that particular default statement, it will mention that console.log, it will be printing in a statement mentioning that invalid entry. So this is how it will be working with this particular switch statement. That means as simple as part of the program requirement, if you want to handle multiple functionalities in one program, it will be taking with the help of these particular switch statement. See the example. As an example, I'll just go with new file, mention that example switch dot ts. Okay. So here, first I will be defining one particular variable, mention that a value as a 10, b value. And then I'm just adding one more option, choice equal to 2. Okay. Still, if you want, you can mention data type also. We can mention that number. And then here also, we can mention that number. Okay. Now, it will be writing with the switch. For the switch, it will be passing that particular choice. Case 1, we are considering that addition. And then it will be using break. Then it will be taking with case 2, subtract, case 3, multiply, division. Any of these statements are not matching, it will be taking with default statement. So that particular default statement, it will be printing that invalid choice. Okay, let's see here. So if I just go this program, now I got provided with the choices 2. 2 means what it has to perform? Subtract. Case 2, as a given with the option is 2, it's need to be get go with that particular respective of subtract. It's need to be get perform that particular one as a 2. Okay. Now we can see here, if I'm executing it's need to be able to perform that particular subtract, mentioning that switch dot ts. So it will be printing that particular subtract. If I'm giving the choice is 1, if I'm giving with the choice is 1, it's need to be get perform addition. It will perform that particular addition. In case if I'm giving with the choice is 5, if I'm giving with the choice is 5, then it has to print that invalid choice. It will be printing that invalid choice. For example, assume that I'm not providing that particular break keyword. So I'm just making a comment. Now I'm giving choices 1. Now what is the result we will get? So it will get addition. As we have not given with the break, it will go with subtract also. So that is what exactly functionality of break keyword. We got addition and we got a subtract. So that is where while working these particular switch statement as part of the switch mandatory of, you will be using that particular aspect of break keyword. So this is how I will be taking with the help of these particular respective arrays concept, and then you will be taking with these particular respective of switch statement. So while working that particular program requirement, as part of that particular program requirement, we need to be get take with the help of in utilizing these particular statement. So in this way, we need to be get go with in working this particular perspective of one level of the concepts here. So all these particular things we can consider one level of the concepts here, which we will be considering that the next level of the concept, that is what we need to be get start with. We need to be get understand OOPS concepts here. So while working that particular Java programming, how we got that particular OOPS concepts in the same way while working that particular TypeScript also, we got that particular perspective of OOPS concepts here. So let's see that how we can go with all that particular OOPS concepts. Lot of things are available, but for now, just you can write with the first heading, mention the inheritance. So for now, you can write with the new heading, mention the inheritance. So that is what we need to be get discussing it. So from Monday, we'll go with that particular inheritance concept, and after that, we'll be taking with our actual playwright. So till now, we have not started our actual playwright here. Before getting started our actual playwright, first we need to be get comfortable with these particular perspective of all the programming concepts. Then it will be more easy to get work with these particular playwright concepts here. So just take care about all these particular programs here. And from 23rd, as I already mentioned, you may have, from 23rd, it will start with the extra TypeScript sessions also, only for TypeScript program. He will be explaining, another trainer will take the session. So he will explain that particular aspect of interview part. Related to that particular interview, how exactly the programs need to be get explained. It will start from 23rd. 1 month duration will be there. The timings will be 8 a.m. 8 a.m. to 9:30 a.m. Whoever having with the possibilities, you can continue attending that particular sessions, definitely it will help you that to get clear with the interviews here. He will not explain any theory or playwright concept, only for interview purpose. What are all that particular different type of programs has been required? He will be explaining that particular concepts here. You can just go with that particular concept. The sessions will be continued in offline, online. So both the options will be available based on your comfortable. You can attend in offline or you can attend in online. For that particular sessions, there is no recordings. For now, you are getting with the recordings related to our regular session, but that particular interview TypeScript session, recordings will not be available. It's mandatory. Either you can attend in offline or you can attend in online. So see the possibilities to attend in this particular batch only. If not, in soon you will be getting evening batch also around 7:30 p.m. to 9 p.m. Still date is not yet confirmed. That is also one more batch will be available. So based on your comfortable, you can plan that particular respective batches here. Definitely, it will give you added advantage and continue those particular interviews here. Just take care about all that particular preparations and continue all that particular practice here. Okay, clear everyone? Just take care about the practice, guys. From Monday, we'll be getting started with that particular OOPS concept. You can utilize that particular offline lab support, or you can utilize that particular online lab support. You will be taking it. So timings will be 11:30 only, still 2 to 3 days here. After that, I'll make a revert back. For now, you can continue that 11:30 only. Okay. Right. Online students having the questions, you can carry on your questions.
Welcome to NC Music World. Bluetooth mode.
All the online students, no more other questions, right? Okay, then. Take care about the practice. Meet you on Monday. Please continue that particular practice. Thank you.